Last year, the Port of Miami set a new record by hosting over 8.2 million cruisers, and I was one of them. South Beach, with its miles of sandy beaches, historic Art Deco buildings, ever-changing restaurant scene, and hotel prices that'll make you miss a car payment, is a popular place to stay a couple nights before or a couple nights after your cruise. It is Sunday, October 12th, 2025, and on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, I'm going to share with you my tips and tricks to help you save some money in Miami. We're going to talk all about getting around, and in the end, I'm going to talk about some things I think you should kind of beware of. Just like the wind, just let it pass through, just let it pass you. I am Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years now of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And a lot of the tips we're going to be talking about today are in this book, Places Please. My chapter about Florida starts on page 78, and maybe I haven't been doing the best job at marketing this book as a travel guide. There are a lot of stories in here, but there is a lot of useful, helpful travel information for cities like Miami, New York City, London, and Akron, Ohio. If you like to read, if you like to travel, if you're into theater, and if you want to give me a little extra support, pick up a copy on Amazon now. Although most things in Miami Beach are much more expensive than other places to cruise from, one thing that is fantastic about cruising to or from Miami and staying in South Beach is you can take the city bus there from the airport for less than $2.50. Yeah, the Metro bus number 150, which is also sort of nicknamed the Airport Flyer, costs $2.35, and you can either pay exact change directly in the bus or buy one of these cards, either at the bus station at the airport or in one of the sort of kiosk stores around South Beach. So when you land at the Miami airport, you need to follow the signs to the Mia Mover. This is the free train that goes from the airport to the train and bus station. By the way, it's also where a lot of the rental car counters are located. And once you get there, follow the signs to the bus stop. Once you're in the bus, the journey takes about 25 minutes until you're on South Beach, and then there's a couple different stops along the way. If you're staying on Lincoln Road or anywhere on South Beach, you're not going to have a very long walk from one of the bus stops to your hotel. And if you're doing it the other way around, then yeah, you just do it backwards. And if you want to take an Uber or a taxi, the prices from the airport over to South Beach are usually only around like between $25 and $40. And if you're going to stay in Miami before or after your cruise, you don't have to stay in South Beach, and I'm going to talk about another place to stay a little bit later in the video. But if you are staying on South Beach, you're also going to want to get around, and there's actually a totally free way to do it. Okay, other than walking, I actually have two free modes of transportation to suggest to you if you want to get around the Miami Beach area. The first one is check if your hotel has bicycles that you can borrow. The last hotel that we stayed at, which I wouldn't recommend, did have, I think, 5 or 6 bicycles that we could check out in the morning and bring them back in the afternoon. It cost no additional fee, and we rode those bicycles all the way up the entire peninsula and all the way back down. And these bicycles were more designed to be just like, you know, for short journeys and not like an entire day of sitting.
My butt meat was sore.
Not every hotel offers these, so if it's something you're interested in, just make sure you check that before you book. And another completely free way to get around Miami Beach is the trolley. Yes, there is a trolley system that is very much like a hop-on, hop-off bus tour, just sort of without the narration, that has a couple different routes that goes all around the tourist area of South Beach. It is completely free. You just wait at the stop and hop on the trolley. At certain times of the day, we did notice them being quite full. We used it a few times to get from A to B, and we also used it just to sit down on the trolley and do an entire route around South Beach and look at everything there was to see. This is another thing I love about South Beach. Just like the bus from the airport to South Beach, in what other major tourist city is there something like this that's completely free? By the way, back to bicycles. If your hotel doesn't offer free bikes, They do have city bikes all over Miami. These are bikes that you can rent for a short period of time. I haven't done this before, but I checked out the website and I have to say, just like a lot of things in Miami, I think they're kind of overpriced. You can rent one for $8.50 an hour or $24 for an entire day. And I wonder if you really want to do a lot of bike riding, if it would be cheaper to just rent a bike for your entire stay from like an actual bike store. If you're thinking about it, look into that instead of the city bikes. And if you have any experience or information about renting a bike like for a week, please let me know in the comments. This is kind of a tricky subject to give any recommendations because Miami Beach is changing all the time. There are a lot of construction projects happening, and I would feel bad telling you, this is the hotel you need to stay at, and then you get there and either the pool is closed or they're knocking down walls in the room next to you. All things that I have experienced during stays in Miami Beach. One hotel I have stayed at more than once that I had a great experience at both times is called the Marseille Hotel, or is it Marseille? It's this hotel. It belongs to the old school style of buildings in Miami Beach, which means the rooms are a little bit smaller. Most of them don't have a fantastic view of the beach. However, they do have a fantastic pool area with a lot of little like chill out areas. And it's one of the hotels that is directly on the beach side of South Beach. I'm just gonna read what I wrote about it here in Places Please. I've stayed at the Marseille Hotel twice. The rooms are small and only a few offer ocean views. Most look out at neighboring properties or the hustle and bustle of Collins Avenue. Still, the price is right, well, compared to many hotels on South Beach, and the pool area and outdoor bar space are great. My mom and I had a great stay here before my cruise on the Harmony of the Seas, including indulging in more than a few margaritas during the $1 happy hour by the pool. Luckily, we shared a veggie and hummus sandwich to keep things balanced, or one of us might have ended up in the pool. P.S. My mom can't swim. The staff has always been friendly, and you're just steps away from the beach. And I also said here, keep in mind, it's been a few years since I last stayed here, so take this review with a grain of salt. There's another hotel recommendation in here, some nightlife suggestions, and I want to tell you about one restaurant that I really love that I visit every time I'm there. It's called La Sandwicherie, gourmet sandwich store. This original location of what is now a small chain is literally just like a counter in an alley behind Collins Avenue. I love places like this that are created locally, that are sort of on back pathways that maybe a lot of people wouldn't even know are there. This original location of La Sandwicherie is definitely one of them. It's literally in an alley. Opened in 1988, they serve crisp baguettes or soft croissants piled high with fresh ingredients and their legendary vinaigrette. Think of it as a gourmet Subway. That's exactly what it's like. It's probably the least expensive way to get something fresh and healthy in the area. Sandwiches come loaded with veggies, including hot peppers and cornichons, and you can add premium ingredients like smoked salmon or brie. Just know that there's very little counter space there, so it's better to plan to go there, grab your sandwich, and then like take it back to your hotel or someplace else to eat it. All in all, things on South Beach are pretty high priced, and I'm gonna say a little bit overrated. There are a few gems like La Sandwicherie and other places I mentioned in the book, and I mean, yeah, it's great to be right there on the beach or just across the street from the beach because the weather in Miami is almost always beautiful. The sand is very soft. It's great to go swimming in the ocean, but I promised you I'd tell you another place I would recommend staying in Miami, and that's what I'm gonna do now. Before my most recent transatlantic cruise from Miami to Barcelona, we stayed in the neighborhood of Brickell, which is not on the beach. It's not even close to the beach, but this is sort of a new upcoming area for tourists to stay. And the vibe of this area feels more like a neighborhood and less like a vacation destination. A lot of the places you can stay are Airbnbs or VRBOs. We had a little kitchen in the place we were staying, and we enjoyed going to like the full-sized Whole Foods market, buying stuff to make guacamole, bringing home a bottle of wine every night. And I don't have a Miami Beach visit planned at the moment, but the next time I go to Miami, I most likely will stay here and not over on South Beach. Not so fun fact, the place we were staying was a very tall high-rise building, and while we were staying there, the model Jeff Thomas, who is tech billionaire Peter Thiel's sort of secret lover, went on a journey from his balcony all the way down to the pool deck and then up to heaven. That was a really scary thing that happened while we were staying there. There were sirens everywhere. It was a little bit chaotic and hectic, and I happened to glance out at the pool deck, and honestly, I wish I had never done it. Fun story, right? When the time comes to get from your hotel to the cruise port, my suggestion is just take an Uber. It's the easiest, most worry-free way. It's gonna cost you around maybe $25, $30. Oh, you know what? Twice now, it's happened to me though, that the Uber driver has followed the directions on their GPS and taken wrong turns. There's something odd about the way the roads are set up around the cruise port, and for drivers who haven't been there a lot, I guess there's something tricky about it because there seems to be some turn that a lot of them miss, because it's happened to me twice now. Has it ever happened to you that your driver has missed the turn to the cruise port and had to go back over the bridge again and then come back around? I don't get it. And when the cruise is over, if you want to get over to South Beach or to the airport, there, instead of an Uber, I would recommend just getting into a yellow taxi cab, and the reason is they're already there. The last cruise I did that ended in Miami, I was there with my sister. We decided to take an Uber, and the scene was pretty chaotic. The driver had to go around a couple times because we couldn't find each other. And meanwhile, there's a row of yellow taxi cabs just waiting there to take people with them. So the next time that I do a cruise that ends in Miami, I definitely am just gonna jump in a yellow taxi cab because, like I said, they're there. We've been trying to get an Uber back to the airport for about a half an hour now. The guy keeps missing the turn, or turning around and going around again. We haven't seen him go past. It's pretty chaotic here. I guess much less stressful to just jump in a taxi. I mean, taxi might end up costing a little bit more money, but they're waiting here, you can just hop into one. When you leave the port building, there's going to be a lot of people selling transportation over to the airport. And of course, these shared buses or vans, it's definitely an option that will cost you maybe less per person than a taxi. But a lot of times what happens is you'll pay, get in the bus, and then the bus is not going to leave until it's full. So depending on how many other people decide that they want to use this form of transportation, you might be sitting there for a half an hour, 45 minutes before you even leave the port. And for me, it's just worth it to get in a cab and hit the road. You may have noticed that I haven't mentioned how to get directly from the airport to the cruise port, and that's because I never recommend flying to the cruise port city on the day of the cruise. Just don't do that. I always fly at least one day before the cruise just to make sure I'm definitely gonna get there. Please tell me you do this too. As promised, I want to tell you about some things that I think you need to know, sort of beware of before you plan a visit to Miami. There are a lot of great reasons to stay in South Beach or in Brickell, to plan to stay a few days before or after your cruise, but I want to make sure that you really know what to expect when you get there. And so the first thing you need to know is Miami Beach is at the top of the list of destinations for resort fees, additional payments, extra tips. The last time I was there, I felt like everybody was trying to rip me off. When you sit down at a restaurant on South Beach, regardless of what you order, even if it's just one cocktail, there's going to be a gratuity automatically added to the bill, and then they're also going to expect you to tip on top of that. It's kind of like being on a ship. It's like you can't go on the cruise without a tip being automatically added to your bill, and if you don't want to pay it, you have to literally ask them to take the tip off. That's just how they do it in South South Beach, and I wanted to make sure you knew about that, especially for my people watching this from countries other than the United States who maybe aren't used to the sort of tipping culture in the USA. When you're finished eating, take a really good look at the bill, make sure that everything is correct on there, and if you feel like you got bad service or something was not satisfactory, do not hesitate to remove that automatic gratuity and then just tip what you think this person deserved. That's just how Miami Beach is. You just have to be ready for it and kind of accept it. And eventually, I just kind of started laughing about it. Just plan that anybody you come in contact with, basically, in Miami Beach is going to somehow ask you for more money. Not too many years ago, there was also a kind of horrible tragedy in Miami where a building or part of a residential building collapsed. Since then, there's been a lot of inspections. Building codes have been, I think, changed and updated. And because of that, a lot of buildings have had to be remodeled, like demolished and rebuilt. And because of that, at least the last time we were there, which was like not even 2 years ago, there was construction happening all over the place. So if you're planning on going to Miami Beach for some relaxation and quiet, just be really careful what hotel you pick. And I would say before you book, call them to ask if there is any construction happening in the hotel or in any of the neighboring hotels, because that shit can be loud. The last hotel that I stayed at, I'm sure you saw this in my video about the hotel, I think only the floor we were staying on had rooms that were open and everything else was under construction. Please take my advice and call ahead to your hotel to check out that situation. And I have one more thing I want to tell you to be prepared for before I leave you today, and that is the entire South Beach smells like an hour. I've been to the Amsterdam red light district several times, and honestly, Miami Beach smells even stronger like that than it does in the red light district of Amsterdam. I don't know if they had like just legalized it the day before we got there and everybody was like,
yeah man, let's smoke up.
But it was strong and it was everywhere. I was there with my buddy Collie and his, at the time, 15-year-old son, and I just felt like, is this okay? I am getting a contact high just sitting here and there are kids around. So if you're sensitive to that kind of smoke smell, I don't know how to tell you to cope with it. Just know there is a lot of it in Miami Beach. I hope all of this is going to help you plan and prepare for a fantastic trip to Miami. As mentioned, there are a lot more travel tips about different cities, including London and Chicago and other places in this book. If you have picked up a copy and read it, please take a minute to go to Amazon and leave a review. That really helps me out. And to everyone out there, I just want to say thank you for spending this part of your Sunday or whatever day it is you choose to watch this with me. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. Bye-bye.
So until next time, I'll leave alone just like that. I'm back to being sober.